There's one country on Earth where elves can stop bulldozers in their tracks, where the sun sometimes refuses to set, and where locals actually use an app just to avoid dating their cousins. Sounds unbelievable, right? But welcome to Iceland, a land where ancient myths collide with futuristic science, and where everyday life feels stranger than fiction. What makes this tiny island in the North Atlantic one of the most eccentric nations in the world? Let's dive into the untold, the shocking, and the mind-blowing truths about Iceland. Imagine stepping outside at midnight and the sky is still bright like midday. That's summer in Iceland, when the sun simply doesn't set. For weeks, locals live with 24 hours of daylight, giving the country an almost dreamlike quality. People barbecue at 2 a.m., kids play soccer after midnight, and tourists never really know when to sleep. But when winter hits, the script flips completely. Darkness dominates. For months, daylight barely makes an appearance, sometimes just a faint glow for a few hours. Yet, instead of crumbling under the weight of endless night, Icelanders adapted. They learned to embrace cozy indoor gatherings, warm cafes, and vibrant nightlife to keep spirits high. And here's the twist. Scientists say Icelanders have one of the lowest rates of seasonal depression in the Arctic. Why? Because they treat light and dark not as a curse, but as part of their rhythm. But this is only the beginning, because Iceland's landscape itself is like stepping into another planet. Iceland isn't just a country. It's a science fiction movie that you can walk through. Where else can you see erupting volcanoes sitting beside massive glaciers, black sand beaches that look like alien worlds, and waterfalls crashing from mountains painted in strange colors? Take Reynisfjara, the legendary black sand beach in the south. Instead of golden sands, you find jet-black shores, fortress-like basalt columns, and waves so powerful they've claimed lives. Locals call them sneaker waves, because they strike without warning, sometimes towering over 12 meters high. It looks beautiful, but it's also deadly. This balance of danger and beauty defines Iceland. Every cliff, every glacier, every hot spring feels alive, almost as if the land itself is breathing. But Iceland's mysteries aren't only found in its landscapes. Some of the most intriguing ones are written into the lives of its people, especially the women. Strolling through Reykjavík, you might swear you've just spotted a character out of Norse mythology. Icelandic women are often described as modern-day goddesses, porcelain skin, icy blue eyes, and a quiet confidence. But beauty is only the surface. What truly sets them apart is independence. Iceland consistently ranks among the most gender-equal countries in the world. Women run businesses, climb mountains, drive taxis, and raise families on their own terms. They're fearless, outspoken, and proud of it. And here's a wild fact. Because Iceland's population is so small, barely 400,000 people, the chances of dating a distant cousin are pretty high. To solve this, locals use an app that instantly checks family ties. Imagine being on a date and pulling out your phone to make sure you're not related. Nationality, by the way, doesn't matter much to Icelandic women. Respect and genuine commitment do. But relationships are only one piece of Iceland's social puzzle. To really understand this country, you have to soak in its hot tubs. In Iceland, hot tubs aren't just about relaxation, they're a way of life. Public hot springs and geothermal pools are where friendships are made, politics are debated, and sometimes even business deals are sealed. Step into one of these steaming pools, and you might find yourself chatting with teachers, farmers, or even the president himself. There are no social barriers here. Everyone is equal in the hot tub. Locals even say the warm water cleanses not only your body but your soul. The conversations are open, unfiltered, and often unforgettable. For many Icelanders, the hot tub is the true heartbeat of their community. But once they step out, some of them retreat into something that feels even more mysterious. Wooden cabins in the wilderness. Scattered across Iceland's vast, snowy fields are small wooden huts, often miles from the nearest town. These aren't just weekend getaways. For some Icelanders, they're permanent homes. No electricity, no internet, sometimes not even proper roads. Just silence, nature, and survival. It's more than just a lifestyle. It's a cultural statement, a way to connect with the land and live as their Viking ancestors once did. Many of these cabins can only be reached by hiking or off-road vehicles. Inside, life is simple: water from springs, heat from fire, food from the land. And while most of us panic when Wi-Fi cuts out for 10 minutes, Icelanders thrive in this off-grid existence. Why? Because for them, it's not isolation, it's freedom. But this Viking spirit isn't only alive in cabins, it's stored in their DNA. Literally. Here's something you won't believe. Iceland has the world's largest genetic database relative to its population. A company called Decode Genetics has collected DNA samples from hundreds of thousands of citizens, nearly 2/3 of the country. The goal? To trace Viking bloodlines and prevent hereditary diseases. This means if you're Icelandic, you can discover exactly which Viking clan you came from. It's like a family tree on steroids, backed by cutting-edge science. And while other countries argue about privacy, Icelanders often volunteer their DNA proudly, believing it will help future generations. But DNA isn't the only way they connect with their Viking roots. Some still live as Vikings did, every single day. In northern Iceland, there's a recreated Viking village where life looks exactly as it did 1,000 years ago. Wooden huts with thatched roofs, handmade tools, traditional cooking methods, it's all there. But this isn't just a tourist attraction. Locals actually live and work here, preserving traditions. You can even join them, chopping wood, baking bread on hot stones, or dressing up in full Viking gear. During festivals, they reenact battles, sail Viking boats, and celebrate with fierce energy. It's a living time capsule, a reminder that beneath Iceland's modern surface, its warrior past is never far away. But not everything in Iceland feels ancient. Its capital, Reykjavík, is as modern and lively as it gets. By day, Reykjavík is cozy and charming. Colorful houses line cobblestone streets, locals sip coffee in small cafes, students bike to school, and families stroll along the waterfront. Whale-watching tours take off from the harbor, while others head for hot springs just outside the city. But when night falls, Reykjavík transforms. Rooftop bars thrum with music, live jazz mixes with EDM, and karaoke takes over. In fact, karaoke here is more than fun. It's a national obsession. People sing in bars, at parties, even in hot springs. If you're in Iceland, don't be surprised if someone suddenly breaks into song right next to you. Still, the nightlife is only a small taste of Iceland's energy. The true magic lies in its surreal natural wonders. Few places on Earth can rival Iceland's raw beauty. The Blue Lagoon is the world's most famous geothermal spa. Its milky blue waters rich in minerals that soothe the skin. Surrounded by volcanic rock, it feels like bathing on another planet. Then there's Vatnajökull National Park, home to Europe's largest glacier and some of the most stunning ice caves in the world. Step inside, and you're surrounded by crystal blue walls that look like frozen cathedrals. And if glaciers aren't your thing, the Highlands Landmannalaugar region offers colorful mountains streaked with reds, yellows, and greens, a painter's dreamscape formed by centuries of volcanic activity. But nature in Iceland isn't just majestic. For many, it's mystical. Yes, you heard that right. Elves. In Iceland, they're called Huldufolk, the hidden people, and about half of Icelanders believe they exist. This isn't just folklore for kids. Construction projects worth millions have been halted because they were believed to disturb elf habitats. There's even an unofficial elf protection agency led by a woman known as the Elf Language Translator. Imagine living in one of the world's most tech-savvy countries, but at the same time, designing highways to avoid invisible elf homes. That's Iceland, science and myth holding hands. And if that sounds strange, wait until you hear what Iceland doesn't have. Picture this. You're hiking through nature, and not a single mosquito buzzes in your ear. No ants crawling into your picnic. That's Iceland, a paradise free of two of the world's most annoying insects. Scientists say the constantly changing weather, volcanic soil, and temperature shifts make it impossible for mosquitoes and ants to survive. While the rest of the world spends billions fighting mosquito-borne diseases, Iceland doesn't have to worry at all. But while bugs aren't a problem, buying alcohol definitely is. In most countries, you can grab a bottle of wine at the supermarket. Not in Iceland. Alcohol is sold only in government-run stores with strict hours. The idea is to control consumption and prevent abuse. And here's a twist. For decades, beer was completely banned. It wasn't until 1989 that Iceland lifted the ban. Now, every March 1st, the entire country celebrates Beer Day, raising a glass to freedom. It's not just a party, it's a reminder of how culture here blends tradition, law, and celebration. But Beer Day is just one of Iceland's many eccentric festivals. From music to folklore, Iceland loves to celebrate. The Iceland Airwaves Festival transforms Reykjavík into a giant stage with concerts happening everywhere, from cafes to warehouses. Then there are quirky local festivals where people dress in costumes, play ancient games, and celebrate like it's another world. Each one feels like a mix of myth and modern joy. It's proof that Icelanders don't just endure their extreme environment, they celebrate it. But living in this paradise isn't free. Iceland isn't cheap, but it offers something money can't buy: peace, safety, and quality of life. Nearly all electricity comes from geothermal and hydropower, making utilities cheap and green. The air is crisp, the water is pure, and crime is almost non-existent. Renting in Reykjavík might cost around $1,200 for a small apartment, with monthly expenses around $2,000 to $2,500. Not cheap, but when you consider the safety, the clean environment, and the friendly community, many believe it's worth every penny. And if you're thinking about moving here permanently, Iceland is considered one of the safest and most peaceful countries in the world, often compared to a retirement village with no real crime to worry about. But before you pack your bags, there's one more thing you need to taste. Food in Iceland is simple but unforgettable. Skyr, a creamy yogurt-like dish, has been eaten for over 1,000 years. Lamb soup warms the soul on freezing nights. Fresh salmon and cod are served straight from the ocean, cooked with minimal seasoning to preserve the pure flavor. And then there's the mysterious banned dish, once a symbol of national pride, but now forbidden due to modern regulations. Locals still whisper about it, and tourists often leave Iceland wondering what they missed. So, what is Iceland really? A futuristic nation powered by clean energy? A Viking outpost frozen in time? Or a land where myths and science weave together into something utterly unique? Maybe it's all of the above. One thing is certain: Iceland is a place where the ordinary rules of life simply don't apply. From elves to endless daylight, from Viking DNA to bug-free summers, it's a reminder that even in today's world, some corners of Earth remain truly magical.